Hello, CNG 124, Westminster and Boulder. Should be working on this week's material while Larimer is on vacation. I will post in a video next week too, kind of recapping the same thing. Let's see when, or you can just take a spring break in like a slower 2-week spring break. And once again, if you guys have, it looks like classes on campus are very limited to the resources. So if you do need that extra help, definitely reach out in Google Hangouts to get a more prompt response than sending me emails in D2L or at frontrange.edu. Yeah, because that's the quickest way to get a hold of me. The video for the Surface, Front Range IT is transitioning drives to online, so I don't know if that's ever going to get fixed, at least for this semester. So still, I'll be doing cameraless until I find my camera or the Surface gets fixed. So one of the two. This week we do, I don't think there's any reading. Okay, router configuration. Make sure you have this reading up as you do Lab 13. It's going to have the answers of Lab 13 in the reading. Also, you can find some of the answers in the, where's my review at? Did I have review? I guess I didn't have review or slides. But make sure you have that reading up for that Lab 13 Cisco Packet Tracer. And basically, this is just an overview of the 1941 router. This router will be discontinued here in the next couple of years, but once you know the basic cards that can go in this router, they're the same exact cards that can go into other routers. So you'll have the understanding of what the cards should look like and how the cards work. Once again, you're going to dive into Packet Tracer, start to learn Packet Tracer. When you are in Packet Tracer, do be mindful though that there are buttons. I'm trying to fire up my Packet Tracer now. Do be mindful that there are buttons that the physical router will not have, and that is along the tab here. If you start using those routers or those buttons for configurations, I will give you a 0 on your project and ask you to do it again. If you keep on doing that, that is a actual violation of the school code of conduct. And I don't wish to take things further than that, because that is just cheating on your homework, on your tests, and that is easy for me to figure out because those give me specific 1941. And here I am within the router looking at it. These tabs across the top are not available in real life. You can cheat and enter the commands here, but I will see it when I open your router and start to look around. That's not the way to approach this. Make sure you are following the lab directions precisely. This lab, I believe, is 13 pages. No, 4 pages. We do run into labs that start to get longer, like 15 pages. After that lab, you start to use that. Is it in this week's assignments? You start to use that lab as a template for future labs. Yeah, it's this week. So this lab here will be a 15-page lab, I believe. And you're going to use this lab as a template for all future labs moving forward. Develop a system so you know where you're at immediately. If you happen to look away, perhaps you highlight something first and then look away so you know where to come back. If there's a problem with your lab, it's because you missed a step. You didn't do something that was listed in the steps and you skipped over it. Then trying to find what is wrong, it's easier for me if I can't see it within a couple seconds or a minute or two. It's simply easier just to start the lab over and from scratch. And therefore you lose time. I don't want to save this, thank you. I don't want you lose time and have to do it again. Then you have more time invested in this lab. Take your time. Develop a system from here on out to the end of the semester that you're going to walk through these labs, and you're going to immediately know where you're at in every lab in case you look away. Develop some sort of system. When I was teaching these in the physical class, I'd have them print out this lab and start to put circles and check marks at steps they are on and steps they have completed. That way they were clear on where they were at within the lab. And this will transition on to, if you have other classes with me, I do have labs that are exactly that are probably the same length. If you take firewalls with me, most my labs in that class are 15 pages at minimum, but you have to follow each direction exactly, or they just do not work. So take your time, read, develop a system so you know where you're at, and these labs should go flawlessly. And remember this lab right here, if you want to do it twice, 3 times, that's good, because then you'll have a better understanding when we transition to week 10 on how to use this lab as a template. Grading, I'll definitely try to get to it this week. The kids are home for, it sounds like spring break and then some. So I'll be trying to work my schedule around that. So we try to get some videos that do not have interruptions in the background, or these interruptions that are too bad. And I believe that's it for this week. Week 9, an easier week with reading. Make sure you have that Lab 13 next to you so you can actually do that lab as you're reading, and that'll help you a lot. Lab 14, subnetting once again. We don't do much beyond that, but it's the same exact stuff we're doing, just in a different format. Make that 8-dash table, that represents a byte that has 8 bits, so you can work through this in your head and fill out Lab 14. Once again, it's the same exact stuff we've been covering, just in a different format. So something you haven't seen, but you've been doing. And with that, I'll let you guys have a good week this week. For those that are on spring break, enjoy that spring break, or if you're taking the next 2 weeks slower, definitely enjoy your relaxation period.